Okay, we're rolling. What an incredible couple days. That was just, can you guys see me perfectly there? You're balancing on my laptop right now because I don't have a tripod, so whatever. First of all, I just want to say thank you guys so much. It was just an incredible, incredible journey. Just to be able to come on Twitter and to speak to everybody and to search my name. I guess we should start with that. So where was I coming out with searching my name? I've been dealing with Eurovision for a long, long time, a decade almost, and it doesn't really feel that it was an easy process by any means, but it was definitely something that I had to do. And just this one night, it was quite recent actually, I've done it a couple times, but this time it really just resonated with me that that was something I had to do. And I got curious. Curiosity killed my cat. So I Googled, Twittered my name, and then I was like, whoa! There's some stuff I gotta deal with here, okay. So I just started replying to people on there, and it just completely escalated from there, and it was amazing. Some of them were hilarious, and guys, you're really creative with some of the insults. I actually laughed at a lot of them. I remember the favorite one that I read on YouTube one time was, is that a nose or a beak? I mean, this thing is kind of, it does have a little bit of girth on it, so yeah, I can see why you'd think that. But yeah, I was just scanning through the comments, and I just felt compelled to reply to people because I have been hiding. I have been hiding for a long, long time, and it was time for me to step up and really practice what I preach with the mindset coaching, and to stop hiding from people, and to finally face, I wouldn't call it a fear, but face that thing that was in my subconscious mind, you know, because when you go through life and all of the things around you that happen, it goes into your subconscious and it stays there. And then you start repeating patterns. You start feeling unworthy. You start feeling like you're not good enough. You start feeling like life is just unfair. And I was feeling like a victim. And I just thought, you know what? I got to stop this. I got to nip this in the bud. And I really have to face this head on. Otherwise, I'm never going to deal with it. Because 10 years is a long time to have stuff like that built up inside you. So here I am. Here I am right now, and I just love the fact that we've been able to connect like this, guys, and I really, really am here to stay. I want to tell you all the gossip, all the things that you didn't know about me, all the things that you didn't know about the competition, because I think this is an incredible opportunity for you guys to learn about the performer's point of view, because I know that people do interviews all the time, but I don't know too many Eurovision performers that have come out into giving their take on everything like this. So I'm really excited to share with you my experiences, and I got a bunch of questions from everybody, so I printed them all off and I'm going to be reading through them. I'm very excited, so I guess let's do it. So I wrote down a couple things that I need to say to you guys, and the first one is that I want to apologize for all of the ear bleeds. Listen, as a musician, as a singer, as somebody who took my career very seriously, I can tell you right now that I know that that was a terrible performance, and I am not trying to justify it by any means. It was bad, so from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. I really felt like I let you guys down for a lot of years, and it was very difficult for me to deal with. So I apologize for that last note. I'm probably gonna drop it in right now because it's time that we face that note. What was that all about? That sounds good to me. Okay, so let me tell you a little story real quick about why that was so difficult for me and how maybe you didn't know that this was going on in the background, but when I recorded the song on the UK selection process, it was in a certain key. And right before we started rehearsing for the live shows and the rehearsals and everything, Mike Stark and Pete Walterman, well, I mean, he didn't really talk to me at all. So Mike Stark and Steve Crosby, who formed Steps, they told me that they raised the key. And I was thinking, why did you raise the key? And then apparently it was because, well, you know, we want the audience to think, will he get the note? Will he not get the last note? And I was like, listen guys, I got news for you. I'm not gonna get that note. It's not in my range. And I have to admit that at 19 years old, my voice wasn't even fully developed. I didn't even know who I was. My performance, I was awkward. I watched interviews back and it was really traumatizing to see. I felt so embarrassed for poor Josh. I really do see that as a different person now, because I don't know if you can see this from right now when I'm talking to you, but I do feel a lot different, and I do have self-development to thank for that, and I will talk about that later as well. So they raised the key of the song before the shows, and it just completely baffled me, because I was thinking, why would you do that? What's the point in raising the key if you know that that's not something that's going to be a possibility for me? So anyway, I had an incredible vocal teacher, vocal coach, and he came to the studio, which was all completely just wallpapered with discs, platinum discs, gold discs, all around. It was an incredible experience, and it was on a golf course, which is just amazing. And he was there, and he was trying to give me, you can do this, and he was trying to teach me different things. And I was in the studio, guys, recording this very song, and I couldn't sing it for the life of me. For those of you who are a little bit into singing, the vowel E is probably one of the most difficult vowels to sing, or if it was for me. So right at the top of my range, just before your voice breaks into the falsetto or the head voice, and you're pushing all of that energy out of the tiny little vocal cords because you're doing the E sound, it felt impossible to me. And now that I reflect, I should have gone in with a better attitude of like, no, I can do this and that kind of thing. But I was having probably about 30 interviews a day when I was in Oslo, and I was tired, and I was just completely terrified to do that note on the stage. And I know that you can see that in my eyes. I could definitely see it. It was really sad. It was like a lamb to the slaughter, guys, because I knew in my heart that it was not going to happen. And maybe that's where I went wrong, because I have a completely different outlook on life now, and I don't go into things to come second or third or 25th or 26th. I actually go into things to win now, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to help people to understand that they have to go in to win, because you wouldn't go into a boxing match to come second. You wouldn't go into something thinking you're going to come last. And when people looked at my interviews and they were saying, well, he's a poor deluded guy, he thinks that the song's going to do well, what did you expect me to do? Do you want me to go on there and say, oh, the song's going to fail, yeah, no, it's a terrible song, and this, that, and the other? I wouldn't have got any support from anyone, and I had to believe as best as I could that I would at least have a fighting chance, because otherwise it would have been a complete flop, even more than it was. So I have to admit, being on Twitter was a very, very difficult thing for me to do. And it gave me severe anxiety, and guys, people still suffer with anxiety all the time, and social media is the worst, because there are keyboard warriors, there are people that just put their shit out there, and they're like, I'm never going to see them, they're not a person. I've got news for you. Every single Eurovision entry that you have ever witnessed is a person. Right? They have feelings, they have families, they have bills, they have... this is real life. My life took me on a journey to that point, and when all of my world came crumbling down because of what happened, it was very, very difficult to deal with. It was very difficult to deal with, and sometimes I look back at my 19-year-old self, and I wish that I could have been there to be like, you can do this. But I wasn't. But what I can say is that I'm here right now. And I am just loving life. Don't get me wrong, listen, my life is not completely figured out. For those of you who don't know, I moved to Canada. I sold everything I had to be here. I was in a rock and a hard place. What do you do when you've had a little bit of career success, and then all of a sudden it gets ripped from under your feet? What do you think that people do after that? Think about that for a second. My singing career, I was kept on the label for a year, and they told me that they were going to wait for a year and then they were going to re-release me. And obviously that never happened, because what they were trying to do was ignore the fact that anything ever happened and hope that people forget me. And that did happen. And guess who forgot themselves the most? This guy. Yeah. I was kept on the label for a year. And the way they kept me on the label is because they had a clause in the contract that said 1 single release and 1 optional single release with no release date. no release date. So they could have kept me on that contract forever if they wanted to. Thankfully, my uncle actually was quite high up in the music industry. He used to manage Status Quo's finances, and he did lots of stuff. So he read through the contract. He was like, guys, I don't think you realize, but Josh is bound right now. He's not going anywhere. And I wasn't allowed to do my own content. I wasn't allowed to do my own songs, nothing. And my dad actually got in touch with Pete Waterman's assistant, maybe, friend, something or other, I don't know. He got in touch with her and he said to her, come on guys, what are you gonna do? He's 19 years old. You're really gonna keep him on a contract? What are you gonna do with him? And thankfully, they had the heart to let me go, and that was probably the most amazing thing that they ever did for me. And no, I'm not saying that I'm feeling victimized, or I've had a lot of time to deal with this stuff. I've had a lot of time. In fact, it's been on my mind every day since. I can't even explain to you how that would feel for somebody, but I'm doing my best to try and explain to you how I got to this process and how I got to this stage. So I got your questions, guys, and I have to say, some really, really interesting stuff here. I'm looking forward to reading through these. So I guess I'll just begin. All right, yeah, let's do this. So, okay, this is a great question, and I would love to address this one right now. So this is actually from Mangosteen ESC. Make sure you like and follow them. How did you feel when you first listened to That Sounds Good to Me? Did you try and get the song changed? Did the BBC take anything you asked for / suggested into consideration? Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. How did I feel when I first listened to That Sounds Good to Me? Well, I was in my bedroom and I got the email from the main producer, and as I was listening, I was slowly nodding my head. Okay. I'm just nodding away, and then the chorus comes and I'm like, this is cheesy. This is very cheesy. This is coming from someone who loves soul, Motown, funk, R&B, pop music. Even I love producing house music, and I always have done. I love EDM, I love all of that kind of stuff. And when I got this 80s cheesy song, man, this is bringing up a lot of shit for me, I must admit. I was disappointed. I was genuinely disappointed, and listen, I know there are people out there who love the song. And for you guys, I'm forever grateful. I think that your devotion to the Eurovision is absolutely amazing. And I think that that song, it's not a terrible song, but was it right for me? It didn't sound good to me. And personally, I think paired with the raising of the key and the staging, what was that all about? Somebody commented, I can't remember who it was, but they said like all the IKEA furniture. Absolutely, man. IKEA furniture for the win, or for the lose. But yes, in a nutshell, I was a little bit disappointed by the song, a lot disappointed by the song, just because I felt like it didn't suit my vocal style. And it really was a very interesting thing for me to get over. I want to tell you guys a story, but maybe I'll save that for another video, about the song, about how the song came into existence, about how the song may or may not have been an original song, may or may not have been written for the UK Eurovision entry. Who wrote the song, actually, and my experience that far. So I will definitely spill all the gossip. I have a lot of interviews coming up, and it's going to be extremely fun for me to talk to these people and give them the lowdown on what actually happened, because I don't think anybody actually knows what went on behind the scenes before I got sent to Nil Pois land. Dos pois, 10 pois. How many is 10? I don't know. I'm not a linguist. Okay, next question from Salocin _249. SALOCIN _249. They say, do you still watch Eurovision after 2010? I have done. I have, because I was still very much in that process. I was still trying to get my career up and out there, still trying to combat, you know, the last place result. I did watch it for a while, but then obviously when I went into hiding, I decided that it was not good for me and my mental health at that time to continue watching the Eurovision, because it would just bring up all of those emotions and feelings that I'd already tried to deal with. So I haven't really watched it too much, but I'm really, really happy to say that nowadays I'm in a much better frame of mind, and I'm definitely going to be having Eurovision parties. I love that stuff, guys. I'm just a person the same as you are. It's an incredible song contest. It's there's nothing else like it on the planet. Even X Factor doesn't have as many people watching. It's just unbelievable, and the community is just amazing. It's amazing. So in a nutshell, do I watch Eurovision? Not right now, but yes, I will be. So this question is from Eurovision, and they say, what was the spark that made you finally come back and interact with people on Twitter about Eurovision? I would say that was just listening to my intuition, and boy, am I glad that I did, because I was just sitting there one day and I was just curious, and I had that tiny little voice in the back of my head saying, you should go check it out, you should go and see what's up, because it's time you start dealing with this stuff. But also because I felt like it was time for me to finally put to bed those negative thought patterns, those negative emotions that I've been dealing with for so long. Another main reason is because everybody who loves the Eurovision, we all have something in common. We all love music, we all have passion, we're all fiery people, and we all have a lot of shit. I mean, if you don't have any shit going on in your life, that is the most amazing thing, and I genuinely am happy for you. But for the majority of us, we all have our own internal turmoil and our own internal struggles, and I, as a mindset coach now, really want to be able to give people the tools and the techniques that I have discovered that work for me, because I suffered from anxiety, depression, all of that stuff. You know, it is horrible. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy, I really wouldn't. I did go through a lot, so that's why when I got that urge to reach out to people on Twitter, to face my demons, to come back with a vengeance, it just felt like it was the right thing to do, so. Alright, so this question goes out to Eurotrash Sash. She's a fantastic singer, by the way. She did a splendid cover of That Sounds Good to Me. I believe it was in Basildon. And that's actually, I want to talk about this tweet right here, because this is the one that really started this whole thing, because I just felt compelled to reach out and just have banter with you guys, because that's what it's all about. But the question is, do you have any advice on how you manage to not take people's opinions about you or the performance to heart? You seem to have a good sense of humor about the whole thing, even though it must have been quite upsetting at the time. It was quite upsetting, but I had a choice. I had a choice about, you know, living in the past or building a better future. And for me, I don't know if any of you know, but I now am engaged to the love of my life. I'm the father to a beautiful stepson called Daxon. And for me, the advice I would give to someone who's going through something with other people's opinions is that don't take it too seriously. Really don't. I've learned to not take myself too seriously, and that's probably the best piece of advice I can give to anybody watching, is just have fun, guys. We're all on this planet together. We're all here because we won the egg and sperm race. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with your chance? What are you going to do with the opportunity of being on this planet? The chances of you actually being alive right now are over 400 trillion or something incredible like that. But my advice on how to not take people's opinions to heart is that put yourself in their shoes. When someone has an opinion about you, there are two things that I consider. Number one, is there any truth to what they're saying? And number two, do I agree with them? You have to really look at it from a subjective point of view. So let's say that I'm going on Twitter and I'm seeing a bunch of comments about, oh, it was a terrible song, or he did terrible, like his dancing's awful. It is. I agree with you 100%. So then all of a sudden, it's not someone else's opinion. It's also mine, because I'm thinking about these things and how they make me feel. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It was a terrible ending. That last note, I cringe every time. When I moved to Canada, I didn't tell anybody that I did Eurovision. I wanted to see how I could make friends without people knowing about it, because there are a lot of weird, interesting, sharky, bitchy people out there who will latch onto you just because you did something. But like I said before, I'm just a person, and to be loved and to be to have friends, like actual relationships, that was the biggest thing for me. So I didn't even tell anybody. But when I listen to comments like that and I read them and I think, yeah, It was terrible. It was an awful performance, and I'm so disappointed that we didn't get more than 10 points, guys. I really am cut up about that, even today. I would love to go back there and just absolutely fucking smash it, because that's what the UK deserves. We deserve to send a song that is powerful, that people can relate to, that people can get behind, and the rest of the world can get behind. Because I think that everyone has a tendency to send songs they think that the rest of Europe are gonna love. But the UK has got one of the most incredible music scenes. But why do we send songs and music that are, you know, from a back catalogue that we don't put any effort into? So to put a big pretty bow around everything, in order to take other people's opinions and not make them matter too much about yourself, is that just remember, when you're watching TV and you're listening to music, you have an opinion. Whether you know it or not, if you're listening to a song, I don't like this. When you eat a burger or you eat whatever you want to eat and you think, nah, that's not very nice. Or this is the best thing in the world. I love this so much. We all have opinions. It's just some people are more vocal about them than others. And the thing is, yeah, I've watched TV and I've been like, oh, that's not good. But it doesn't mean I don't like the person. It doesn't mean that I think that they deserve hatred or, you know, I just don't like the song. And that is my opinion. And I'm completely allowed that, as are you guys. So don't take life too seriously. Don't take other people's opinions too seriously. If someone tells you something or they give you their opinion, that's what it is. It's just an opinion. So this next question goes out to Petar ESC Boy. Petar ESC BOI. That was a mouthful. What's your favourite and least favourite part of your Eurovision 2010 participation? So I'm going to start with my favourite thing, and that was just the involvement of all of the countries together. I did a tiny little whistle-stop tour to all the other countries. I got to travel a lot. I got to feel like I was really doing something engaging and fun. I felt like my career was going through the roof. I had friends that actually flew out specifically to Norway for the Eurovision, and that was just an incredible experience for me. And just overall, the way that my life is the way it is now, I would not change anything. I would do everything exactly the same. And even without the same mindset as I have now, I'd live that whole experience again, because you know what? It was worth it to me. The least favorite part about my Eurovision participation would be, unfortunately for me, the song. I really didn't relate to it. I really didn't understand why it was used at all. And I really didn't enjoy the last note. That was my least favorite thing. Just put yourself in a position where you know that you're gonna do something and ultimately it's out of your capability at that moment. So for me, as I said before, singing that last note, it was always in the back of my mind. It's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. That was my least favorite thing about the Eurovision 2010 participation. But apart from that, incredible experience. I like the word incredible a lot today, but there's really not another word that I can explain the experience. It really was just fantastic. So this next question goes out to Maria Ostrit, and they are asking, what are the biggest differences between life in Canada and in the UK? So guys, I live in Canada right now, and just to give you a very brief story of how I got here. So when all of the Eurovision shit was going down and I felt lost, I didn't know what I was doing, I had an identity crisis, it was all going to pot, I decided that I needed to get out because my mental health was at risk. I went against my parents' wishes. They wanted me to stay in the country. Oh, you have so much momentum, you got so much, you know, it's gonna be fine, whatever. I was like, no, I have to go. So I actually signed up for a cruise ship, which I'd always wanted to do because it's traveling the world. You have your own room, you get to have amazing experiences, wake up in a different country every single day. So I traveled on this boat, on this cruise ship, and then we landed in Canada and I met Megan, because I decided on that day that I would listen to my intuition and I would get lost and I would just treat myself to lunch and a beer because I didn't want to people. I was feeling kind of cabin fever. I had cabin fever. I didn't want to be around anyone. So I was still suffering from depression and anxiety at that moment. So I went on this walk and I found this beautiful little restaurant called John Brown's in PEI, and Megan was serving me in the restaurant. There's a long story about it, and one day I'll share the whole thing. It was amazing. But the main differences between life in Canada and life in the UK, well, I think the people in Canada, for the most part, seem to be very, it's a can-do attitude. I find that living in England for so many years, and my whole childhood and my teenage and the beginning of my adult life, everyone's fucking grumpy, man. And I think I know why. Because the sun does not shine through those clouds ever. It's always grey. When I went to Iceland and all of the Scandinavian countries, they paint the houses bright colors like yellow, blue, red, green, all the amazing colors to combat the fact that they never get sunlight. But in the UK, the buildings are grey, the buildings are brown, they're black, the clouds are always shining, the clouds are always grey, and people, I think, need more vitamin D. Honestly, I think that's a genuine thing. So that's one key difference. And another thing is that there's lots of space in Canada. When I first got here, I looked at the intersections and I was like, holy fuck, that's a big place. So it's like the roads are about 5 what they are in England. The biggest difference out of everything is the weather. So I live in Ontario, I live in Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. Last year or the year before, we had the coldest winter on the planet. It was minus 40 something and there was a wind chill which added a few more degrees, and it's actually dangerous to be outside. So that was a huge, literally a huge shock to my system, was coming from a place that was just mediocre at best weather, and then coming to Canada where the summers are plus 40 and the winters are minus 40. There's an 80-degree gap, and we're talking Celsius, not Fahrenheit, which just blows my mind. So those are the main differences about the UK and Canada. So this next question is from @all_I_C is you, and they're asking, who was your winner the year that you sung for the UK? So for me, I loved Harel Scott. He was just incredible, man. He was such a great guy as well. And when I went to do the Israeli party, they were so supportive. I'd fallen in love with all of them, and the culture, the environment, the people, the community. But that song, Milim, oh my God. I actually was singing it today. I sang the English version because I can't sing the same as he did. But that song for me was just amazing. I really loved Lena as well. I think she was really great. Whether I think she should have won the competition from a separate person to Josh Dubovie, who entered, I don't know. I feel like that Harel Scott should have had a great chance, and I think there were lots of other great songs there as well. But for me, I have to say Harel. So this next question is from @live_live_live_. What inspired you to become a mindset coach? So I might have covered this a little bit already, but I do want to delve into detail about why I'm doing this. So let's put yourself in my shoes. You've had an experience that is just life-changing. You've had a record label, you sang in front of all those people, and then your career was completely ripped. You suffered with anxiety, depression, fear, guilt, shame, all of the things. Embarrassment, probably one of the biggest ones for me. I was hugely embarrassed. And then I discovered that once I started to accept those things and use them to better myself, I can actually better the people around me and help them to realize that no matter how big you think that you failed, it's never a failure. Life is always happening for you, not to you. So this is from Megamark71. There's a couple questions. I'm only going to do 2. Did you stay in touch with any of your fellow contestants, and how did the negative reactions to your participation affect you? Did social media contribute to this? So did I stay in touch with any fellow contestants? Not really. I think, in case you haven't gathered already, I was kind of embarrassed about the whole thing. So I didn't really stay in touch too much. I think I stayed in touch with John Lillygreen. I think it's a lot of years ago, for a little while there, and every now and then someone will pop up on my newsfeed and we'll have a little back and forth. But no, I didn't really stay in touch with too many people. How did the negative reactions to my participation affect me? Did social media contribute to this? I'm going to let you answer that one. Did social media contribute to this? Most definitely. But whatever. It's just opinions, right? And also they're correct opinions. So how did it negatively affect me? Well, I was young. I didn't really understand myself. I didn't really understand what was going on. I felt like I was on autopilot for a lot of years there, and yeah, it did definitely suck for me, and it did definitely hurt my pride and my ego to go through that experience and then feel like I'd been left with no one apart from my family, which thank fuck I have my family and friends, because without them, I don't know what would have happened, because even my family, I don't think they realized how much it had affected me, because you take a young guy, you put him in front of millions of people, and then, you know the story. I don't have to keep on repeating that, but yeah, it really did affect me, but I'm really happy that it did, because without that pain, without that shit that was thrown towards me, I wouldn't have grown. Shit is fertile, guys. you can grow a lot through having that shit thrown at you. So we have a question from Yusuf Gold Digger. Love it. What have you been doing lately in your life? So apart from moving to Canada, being with my fiance and my stepson Daxon, I've been focusing heavily on my own mindset, and I've been doing a lot of YouTube videos. I've been doing a lot of music on the side. And guys, I have to be honest with you, I had to get a job. I know, it sucks, but I'm just a person. You know, you can't live for free in this world. Unfortunately, I'm living and abiding by the laws and the ways that every single person on the planet does. And after doing all of that Eurovision and then going into hiding, obviously I wasn't putting myself out there, so I had to get a regular job. So I had been doing that, but now I'm working very, very heavily to continue being a mindset coach and to just help build people up. I've been doing lots of writing, lots of traveling. I'm actually working on a story about how my Eurovision experience went. It goes all the way from the very beginning, from when I first got the call from my agent, to being in the room with Pete Waterman, to something that you guys might not know, which was that I was supposed to be in the band, and then they actually moved me to be a solo singer. I'm writing about all this stuff. So right now, in complete honesty, I'm just working on not having to work, really, because I want to be able to focus all my attention on providing value for people and growing everybody and myself, and I can't do that without, you know, a bit of dollar. So right now I'm just focusing on trying to get some revenue to keep my family afloat, to keep doing the things that I love, and to keep doing the things that hopefully you guys love. And that's just me being brutally honest. I mean, obviously I have a guide that I wrote for people called the Wealth of Self-Development Guide. And yeah, it is up there for sale. I'm not in a place of wanting to bullshit anyone. I really have poured my life and soul into this guide, and it's only 11 Canadian dollars and 11 Canadian cents. And I think that's super affordable. And the reason that I did it for that price is because I just want it to be very obtainable for people. I want people to be able to reach it and see the value that's inside it, and hopefully give you some insight. And if I can improve your life, that's really what I want to do, because coming from a place of the very, very bottom of the barrel, I've made a decision in my life now to change that for the good and to help other people to deal with whatever they're dealing with. So that's what I'm doing right now, and that's what I absolutely love doing, is the mindset coaching. I'm also taking clients. I've got to figure out all my calendars and that kind of stuff, but I am taking clients. If anyone out there is struggling with anxiety, depression, fear, you name it, anything that I've been through, I'm happy to give you my experience and to talk you through, give you some concepts that maybe you didn't consider, and to also realize that you are good enough. You deserve more. This next question is quite an interesting one, actually. I'm looking forward to seeing what pours out of me, because I haven't rehearsed any of these ones. This is from Clive66336269. If you could change anything in your life right now, what would it be? So first and foremost, I want to say that I do not want to change anything in my life. I'm completely comfortable with where I am, and I'm not complacent. I feel that the challenges have been given to me as a gift and a blessing for me to grow and develop into the person that I am and that I love to be. And now, is there anything that I would change about the world? Absolutely. I would change the fact that money is the only thing people seem to care about nowadays, rather than real connections with people. I would change the fact that the planet is literally burning right now. The Amazon rainforest is on fire, and there is nothing that people feel they can do. But is there anything I'd change in my life right now? Yeah, I'd love to be more confident. I'd love to do more. I'd love to travel more. You know, all the things that you can imagine. But in a nutshell, I'm very happy to be where I am right now. So thank you for your question. So this next one is from Kynastan. What did you think of the contest after the results were announced and before you recovered from it? Well, in case you guys haven't gathered already, I knew it was going to happen. In fact, I think everybody who represented the UK that year knew it was going to happen. Even Pete Waterman knew it was going to happen. I don't really think that he wanted to win the competition, or the BBC wanted to win the competition. I didn't even say that. You guys didn't even hear me say that. But I do have a lot of interviews booked from this Twitter insaneness that's come up, which I'm very excited about. But you know, every time we got a point, I'm sure if you watch the clips back, we were like, hey, we got a point, because one is better than none, right? I mean, maybe. And before I recovered from it, it was disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, it was a shame. And I think the main disappointment is because I really wanted to do well for everyone. I really did go in with it at the time with what I had. I feel like I commend myself for having that attitude of like, no, I got to do this. It can't change for me. I have to do this song. I've got no say in it. I've got no say in anything. So I did the best of what I could. But my favorite YouTube comment was, "You cannot polish a turd." Oh, these are juicy. I like these. So I think I've already had a question from this person, but I'm going to do another one. Eurovision, would you ever sing / perform that song again, ironically or unironically? I think I know what you're saying. So yeah, actually, do you know what? Megan was working in a restaurant and I met these regulars who I became friends with very quickly. And then all of a sudden they asked Megan when I wasn't there, probably about, it wasn't all of a sudden, they asked Megan how her and I met, and she told them the story, and then she said he was a singer and blah blah blah. They went home and YouTubed me and they became obsessed with the song. So to answer your question, I actually sang it 2 weeks ago for their wedding, which was amazing. It was a really great experience and they just loved the song and I couldn't deny them that. So I actually sang them back into the room after they'd got married, so it was like their entrance song. And then obviously I did another set in the evening to say, you know, let's do some different songs. But yeah, I would definitely sing the song again, but I think I would like to sing it in probably a different style, and you know, the lyrics, I don't know, ironically or unironically, you know. Okay, so this question is from San Marino ESC. Okay. What's your stance on pineapple on pizza? I didn't think they were going to go as deep as this. I don't hate it, I don't love it, but it's interesting. I like unique things, I like interesting things. So, I got a question from IEVIGHET _ I'm not going to try and pronounce that because, you know, I'm just not. Okay, so what would you like to see the UK do in future Eurovisions? Do you think it should stay the same or no? What would I like them to do in future Eurovisions? Well, I feel like it's a very difficult question because the Eurovision is something that, and I'm going to try and answer another question which is about politics. So what I would love to see in the Eurovision is a celebration of music and not competition. Because I think if we flip it on its head like that and we all just embrace each other's cultures and we embrace each other's ideas, and don't get me wrong, all of the Eurovision fans, everybody who loves the Eurovision Song Contest, we all have a place and we all love this music, but there are people that just rely heavily on politics, but those kind of people are not really in the circles that we like to frequent, which is all about community and lifting each other up and that kind of thing. So for me, I'd like to see better leadership in the Eurovision Song Contest, and I would like it to not be so scandalous, because it really is just a celebration of music, guys. Music is something that bounds everybody together, whether we like it or not. We are all frequencies, we're all energy, we're all waves and everything, and we have the urge to dance, we have the urge to sing, to celebrate, and that's what I think the Eurovision Song Contest is all about. And I think that unfortunately the politics have kind of hindered that and put a weird thing, a weird veil around the whole Eurovision, and that's something that I would love to change. Also, I think that live music would be great. I don't know if the rules have changed since I did it, but everything had to be recorded and you could just pretend that the instruments were on the screen. I think that performers are longing to perform, not to lip sync or not to pretend to play the guitar. You know, if you can play the guitar, play the guitar. If you cannot play the guitar, then don't mime to play the guitar. But the one thing that I think should stay the same is just the energy, the absolute energy and the love and the passion that all of you guys bring to it. Because do you know what? Without you, there would be zero Eurovision. So I kind of already answered this question, but I just want to do an honorary mention to Eurovision Panda, who asked me, do I regret participating at Eurovision 2010? I think I've already covered that, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for your question, and hopefully you got the answer. And I'm going to try and get as many of these questions out as I can, guys. So please stay tuned and let's crush it. Alright guys, so I'm realizing as I'm replying to these questions, there are just so many, and I don't want this video to be too long because I want to make sure that you guys actually want to watch it. But the questions that are coming through are incredible, and I am going to do a little shout out to everybody who sent me a question. If I missed you, please don't take it offensively. As you can see from Twitter, it's been blowing up, which is just amazing. And I do see every single one of you. I really do. And I love you all. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for keeping me on and for allowing me this place back in. I feel like I've been reunited with family, and it's amazing. So thank you. Please don't take it to heart if I don't get around to your question, but I am definitely doing more videos, more content, so stay tuned, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you guys, all right? So let's do what are your plans in the future, and is making music still a big part of your life? So I already kind of did the making music part, but what are my plans for the future? This is from @ESC_Megan. So hey Megan, what are my plans for the future? So I want to get to the point where I'm doing events. I want to get to the point where I have a team of coaches that travel around the world and hold Wealth of Self events to just get people that are having issues in their life and trauma, and use alternative methods and teach them about diet. And when I say stuff like this, guys, I'm not saying that what I have to offer is going to be the most groundbreaking thing, but I do have a lot of experience in this now, and I hope that you know that I've spent a lot of time and effort into working on myself, my own development, and I think you can already see a difference in my personality and the way that I hold myself, the way that I answer questions, the way that I'm focusing, and my confidence levels. And that's what I want to give to other people, because I feel like in this day and age with social media, with all of the news, with all of the videos that we watch, the video games, the way that Facebook and Twitter act like a lottery, we're always pulling that lever to see what notifications come up, that hopefully one comes up as like, hey, you won $1 million. That's not gonna happen. We have to be more realistic about it. So for me, I wanna hold events, I wanna speak on stage, I wanna tell my story, I wanna get people engaged, I wanna wake them up. I wanna say, hey, do you really wanna stay in a 9-to-5 job right now? Is that what you actually wanna do? If it is, I'll move on, and if you don't want any help or anything, then completely fine. But if you don't want to stay in this same life, if you don't want to repeat those same patterns that you've been repeating, and if you don't want to have fear and trauma and anxiety and depression and guilt and shame and embarrassment, I got some stuff that might help you. All right, so next question, Mohammed Sakaria, and he's saying, what should people do to reduce stress? Yes, that's a great question, Mohammed, and it is definitely a difficult thing to deal with. I would say that there is not really one golden method that would reduce stress, but in my experience, a couple of things that have really helped me is to just broaden your perspective a little bit. Don't take yourself too seriously, and the thing that has really saved my life is gratitude and being present, and really just living for yourself. Stop thinking about what other people think and start thinking about what you think. Because when you start doing that, you actually feed yourself with the positive energy. And that's all you need, because once you're magnetized again, you can actually start to attract things in your life. And in order to do that, a great technique to utilize is meditation. I actually have a video about meditation on my YouTube page. So if you guys are interested in reducing stress at all, please do try this, because, and I'm not an expert, I'm not trying to say that this is the one simple trick, like all these big YouTube videos where they get the hook title. I'm not saying that this is the one thing that's going to help you, but I do think, from my experience, that reducing stress, meditation is a huge asset to people, and I think that we really should be taking this seriously. So. And the next question is from @AlphaGlitchGo, and they are saying, what made you want to do Eurovision? So as a kid, I actually had parties. Well, my parents hosted parties, and it was a huge thing in my memory. They used to dress up and we'd all vote on the favorite country. So for me, it was a big deal already. And being part of the UK and being a singer, it was always something that was on my radar, but I never would have imagined even representing our country in something so incredible as the Eurovision. And what did I do? Why did I want to do the Eurovision? Because as soon as I got the audition, and actually let me tell you a quick story. So I got the email through from my agent. Her name is Anne, and she said, "Oh, you've been asked to apply for the Eurovision." And I was like, "Well, Anne, it's the Eurovision. I can't do that. That's amazing. I mean, I'll go for it and I'll try it." But it was mostly because of my love of the music, my love of the experience from my memories, and also just because I was like, hey, this is an incredible platform for me to get out there. But Unfortunately, I didn't realize that things would go the way they did, but like I said before, I'm not sad about it, so that's why I wanted to do it. I'm on the last page of questions. So this question is from CatTair96, and this is probably one of the most difficult questions that I've had to answer so far. Do you have any cherry blossom trees for sale? Like, I'm serious. Man wants a cherry blossom tree, but I can't find any. I mean, probably just like Amazon or like a cherry blossom tree store. Woo! That was fun. I really enjoyed that, guys, and thank you so much for your question entries. Those were amazing to read, and everybody that I didn't get around to, I'm so sorry. I promise you I'll do another one, but please stick around. Join my YouTube channel. It's Wealth of Self-Development. You can go on there. There's lots of well, there's not a lot of content yet, but I've already recorded a bunch, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you guys. Also, I have to plug this. So I do have a Wealth of Self guide, and it is on my PayHip. It's on my Twitter. So there's a link just below my Twitter feed. It's only $11.11, and inside you'll get access to confidence tools, anxiety release, stress relief, ego grounding, broad perceptions. I've worked very hard on this. It's an actual e-guide, and within the e-guides you will unlock some video tutorials where I dive in and tell you exactly how to use the techniques. Some of them are incredible, some are learned from other people, and I'm not saying it's my knowledge, but some of them I actually have developed myself because I had no choice. I had to do something. So that's what I'm doing. Please do check it out. And with my YouTube channel, I'd love if you guys subscribed, and if you could do the notification bell. I'm kind of new to this, I don't know what I'm saying. But yes, thank you so much, guys. I really do love every single one of you, and I'm so looking forward to getting to know you guys on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. It's all down below in the link in the description. It's all down below in the link in my description, and I will see you all there. Thank you so much. Peace and love.